Thanks, Peter. I'd like to introduce RAC Oncology. We're a precision oncology company directed at developing therapeutics to treat cancer and protect the heart. I'll just give you a brief overview of the company and what we're actually up to. I'll jump quickly over this slide, which everyone loves. So we have a market cap around $320 million. We have about $33 million in cash and a relatively small number of shares on issue at the moment, and not too many other options as well. We have about 9,000 shareholders. I'm the largest shareholder, and I'm also a director and the chief scientific officer of the company. So RAC Oncology, for those of you who have heard of the company before, forget everything you know and start again. The past was very different to the current. The original aim of the company was to develop a drug called Zantrene or bisantrene. It was originally developed in the 1980s as an alternative anthracycline. It's been in 50 clinical trials, over 1,500 patients. And the original plan of the company before me and the management team before I was involved was to bring back Zantrene as an alternative for acute myeloid leukemia, which is a very serious cancer. The new team, new opportunity, new strategy. And what we've discovered through some of the work that we've done ourselves on the drug and some of it through other independent groups like the City of Hope in Los Angeles is that Zantrene is a lot more than just an old anthracycline-like drug or a chemotherapeutic drug. Turns out to be a potent inhibitor of a protein called FTO, which is I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. It's involved across a large number of different types of cancers and also immune checkpoint therapy resistance. One of the things we have discovered in recent times is that the drug can provide protection of the heart, it's known as cardioprotection, from the other anthracyclines. That's the major serious side effect of most chemotherapy is permanent damage to the heart, along with improved anti-cancer activity. So there's a very exciting opportunity there. And we also can find that we can treat lots of different types of cancers with this, leukemias and solid tumours. So it's a very broadly usable drug. So I'll talk a little bit about FTO and RNA and why it's such an exciting sort of area in discovery. So RNA is involved in the process of translating the message from DNA or genes into proteins inside the cell. And regulation of this process, it's known as transcription, is really important and underlies many different diseases, including cardiac, viral, central nervous system, obesity, reproductive, and most importantly for us, cancer. And the way this is regulated, there are many different regulatory systems involved in this. One of the most important that's been discovered only in the last few years is M6A methylation. And when this goes wrong, you can often end up with a very dangerous, hard to treat cancer. And unfortunately, it's something that does go wrong in many different cancers. So one of the key players in this M6A pathway is a protein called FTO. This is the one that we're most interested in. So it's known also as an eraser. It's involved in removing methyl groups off RNA, and this has an effect on which genes are what are known as expressed or turned into proteins. And this is really important for cancer growth and development. Turns out that through a study done at the City of Hope in 2020, they identified our drug Zantrene as the most potent inhibitor known for this particular protein. In fact, it's the only one that's currently in the clinic at this stage. So it's the first-in-class, best-in-class FTO inhibitor. And the thing that makes it so exciting is not only is it a totally new area of treating cancer, it's found across all cancer types. So it's actually up to 29 different cancer types have been discovered to have FTO playing an important role in those cancers. So it's including leukemias, breast, lung, ovarian, gastric, brain. In fact, we haven't yet found a cancer where it's not important. So super exciting opportunity, super exciting area, and really at the cutting edge of cancer research at the moment. And we're lucky enough to be right there. So some of the recent news that we've released over the last 6 months or so. So we released an update to a trial that we're running in AML, acute myeloid leukemia, in Israel in really difficult to treat patients that have failed a large number of different treatments, different lines of treatments they're known as. Everything's failed. The patients are at the end of the road as far as treatment options go, and they're the sort of patients we're treating in this trial. So we just completed the phase 1 stage of that in May, and we were very successful in getting 3 of the 6 patients in the phase 1 stage across to a stem cell transplant, which is really the best outcome you can hope for when you have AML or treatment for AML. That gives the patient a chance of cure and a long life. So very exciting. These are patients in phase 1. You're not expecting to see much of the way of results. It's all about safety. But this is a really, to get efficacy in a phase 1 is something really exciting. And to have half the patients respond is also super exciting. So the trial has moved on to phase 2 and is continuing to report, and we'll have news to update over the months ahead. We've also just started a new trial here in Australia in what's known as extramedullary AML. And this is a subtype of AML, about 20% of patients. And this is where the leukemia escapes the bone marrow where it normally lives and takes up residence in some tissue somewhere else in the world and forms basically a tumor in that tissue. And you can see there on the right-hand side a picture of one patient from our trial that had extramedullary in the breast tissue. After one cycle of treatment with Zantrene, that extramedullary lesions were removed from the breast cancer. You can see that as dark regions around the chest area. And so we've undertaken a trial here in Australia, which will be expanding into Europe in the near future, looking at both high dose for patients who can handle intense chemotherapy and low dose in combination for oral decitabine. And this is taking use of the FTO expression and the FTO inhibition properties of Zantrene or Zantrene. And that allows us to actually do the first sort of clinical trial in this M6A RNA space. Very exciting. We expect to use this results for an IND filing in the second half of this year. Some of the other results we've had of recent times, we've had interesting immuno-oncology therapy results in melanoma. We were able to find that in a mouse model of melanoma that was very difficult to treat, that we were able to get shrinkage of the melanoma tumors in 3 different ways. We were able to activate the immune cells directly. We were able to reduce the components of the cell on the cancer that make the cancer resistant to immuno-oncology therapy, and we're also able to directly kill the cancer. So very, very exciting opportunity. And this opens up an opportunity for doing clinical trials using our drug with immuno-oncology therapy like checkpoint inhibitors in melanoma patients, which is a major problem. We also undertook a preclinical study in what's known as clear cell renal cell cancer, which is a type of kidney cancer. It's a very nasty cancer. It doesn't often have symptoms until very late. Often patients are only diagnosed once it's metastatic and spread through the body and they've got months to live. It's the 10th most common cancer, and it's got a very low survival rate. It turns out that FTO is very important for this cancer, and about 90% of the clear cell renal cell carcinoma cancers are important, FTO and another gene called VHL. So we undertook a study looking at this, and we found that the standard treatment for this cancer, which are using a series of drugs known as kinase inhibitors, we found very strong synergy where the drug that's currently used, these kinase inhibitors in combination with Zantrene, was able to kill the cancer cells at much, much lower concentrations. You can see some of those values there on the right-hand side. Very significant commercial value and opportunity, and a really difficult cancer that needs increased therapies available for it. Zantrene protects hearts from doxorubicin as well, and this is something that was a discovery that we made at the end of last year. And seeing this, this is on the right-hand side, you can see some of the results of this, where doxorubicin is a standard chemotherapeutic drug, one of the most widely used chemotherapeutic drugs, and when given to patients, it causes permanent damage to their heart. And we were able to, by including Zantrene in combination with doxorubicin, we were able to prevent that damage from occurring to the heart. At the same time, that is able to increase the therapy on the cancer and have a higher level of cancer killing potential at the same time. We also found that there was no additional toxicity, and that's something that's really important when you're working with chemotherapy, which is a very toxic treatment. It's very serious, but there was no additional toxicity seen during the trial. Very, very exciting opportunity. We expecting to start a trial in this area later this year, beginning of next year, looking into these results. And thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.